Okay, the next part of chapter 2 is going to be the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. We talked about this a little bit in the first notes, but we're going to really elaborate on it this time. We're going to practice. So if you remember, y equals mx plus b, m is your slope. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's our equation. And my y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so if you look at this little diagram, you can see the green dotted line crosses the y-axis at the blue dot. All right, let's move on. So what happens if we're just given slope is -4, y-intercept is -3? How do we find the equation of a line? Well, that one, you just take your y equals mx plus b. I'm going to replace m with -4, and I'm going to replace b with -3. So I have y equals -4x minus 3. You can put plus a minus or plus a negative, however, that just changes it to subtraction. So now when I graph this, my y-intercept is -3, so I'm going to start at 0, -3. That's my y-intercept, so I'm down 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to, I have a slope of -4. Now how do I use -4? Well, to write -4 as a fraction, I'm going to put -4 over 1. So that means I'm going down 4 since it's rise, down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And if you think about it, this slope is negative, so going downhill makes a lot of sense. Nice negative. So go ahead and graph your line. Make sure you use a straight edge to graph. And that's what this one looks like. Okay, let's go ahead and do another one. Find the equation of a line going through the 2 points, 3, -5, and 1, 3. Well, I have to first think about what information I need in order to write the equation. Well, I have y equals mx plus b, right? I need my slope and I need my y-intercept. So in order to find my slope, I'm going to do what we've always done. I'm going to label them x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm going to take 3 minus -5 over 1 minus 3, which gives me 3 plus 5, which is 8, over 1 minus 3 is -2. So my slope is -4. I'm going to squeeze that in there a little bit. Now I have my slope of -4, but I still don't have my y-intercept. So I'm going to look at the points. I'm like, okay, did they give me the y-intercept? Is there a 0 b somewhere? No, there's not. So that means I have to actually solve to find the y-intercept. So I'm going to take my equation and I'm going to plug in what I know. You can use either point, doesn't matter. We'll go ahead and use the first one. So y is -5 equals -4, x is 3 plus b, and solve for b. So I have -5 equals -12 plus b, add 12 to both sides, and you're left with 7 equals b. So now when you go ahead and you write the equation of a line, y equals m, excuse me, m is -4, we already determined that, -4, x plus b is 7. And that's your equation of a line. Let's do one more for another example. This one has fractions. I know that most of you don't like fractions. If you see a fraction and you're not sure, excuse me, how to calculate it, go ahead and use a calculator. That's fine. All right. So first thing I need is y equals mx plus b. And I need to find my m and I need to find my b. M, we've already talked about. We're going to label our points x1, y1, x2, y2, and we're going to subtract. So I have -4 minus 1/2 over -2 minus 1/2, which gives me, you can solve this with a calculator. I'm just going to say this is -4.5 or -9/2 over -2 minus 1/2 is -2.5 or -5/2. So now I have this really ugly slope. How do I simplify that? Well, if you remember, dividing a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So this just becomes negative 9 over 2 times the reciprocal is negative 2 over 5, which gives me, 18 over 10, which reduces, if I divide the top and the bottom by 2, I get 9/5. So 9 over 5 is my slope. All right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and see if I'm given my y-intercept. I don't have it, so I have to find it. So in order to find it, I'm going to do the same thing I just did. Y equals 9/5 x plus b, and I'm going to take one of the 2 points, preferably this one, for less fractions. So I'm going to take negative 4 equals 9/5 times negative 2 plus b. Go ahead and do your math. Negative 4 equals negative 18/5 plus b. Now I'm going to add 18/5 to both sides. And the way you do this is I'm just going to change my fraction, negative 4, or change my number, negative 4, to a fraction over 5, which would be negative 20 over 5, which gives me negative 4. So negative 20 over 5 plus 18 over 5 is going to give me b equals negative 2/5. And so that's my b. Once again, if you're not sure how to do all the fractions, you're still doing the same math, go ahead and use a calculator. So now I have to write my equation. I'm going to take that and plug negative 2/5 in for b. So I'm given y equals 9/5 x minus 2/5. Okay, find the equation of a line given the graph. Well, now I'm not given 2 points, but I could find 2 points on this graph, and I could find the equation of a line. So I'm going to use a different color here. I have a point here, and I have a point right here, okay? The slope, you can either count, or if you're not sure about counting, you can do your y2 minus y1. I'll do both. I'm going to go up 1 over 2. So let's make sure this point is negative 1, negative 2, and this point is 1, negative 1. So did I calculate that correctly? Well, negative 2 minus negative 1, so y2 minus y1, over x2, negative 1 minus 1, gives me negative 3 over negative 2. Did I calculate something incorrectly here? 1. See, this is what happens when you don't label. So I have x2, y2, x1, y1, negative 2 minus 1, minus negative 1, negative 1 minus 1. Oh, I forgot this. Negative 2 minus a negative 1 is not negative 3. I calculated that incorrectly, my fault. Should have told me to stop. In class, you would have told me. All right, so negative 2 plus 1 gives me negative 1, which is 1/2. There we go. Just need to do some simple math. So I have 1/2 as my slope. So I have y equals 1/2 x plus b. Do I know what b is? And if you look, I mean, you could probably guess, but since it's not exactly on a point, I suggest you do the algebra to make sure you do it correct. Especially in Math Excel, if you just guess by looking at the graph and it's not perfect, your answer will most likely end up being incorrect. So let's go ahead and calculate it with the math. I'm going to take one of my points. I'll use 1, negative 1. So I have negative 1 equals 1/2 times 1 plus b. All I did was take this point, 1, negative 1, and plug it in right here, y and x. So that gives me negative 1 equals 1/2 plus b. Subtract 1/2. Negative 1 minus 1/2 is negative 1.5, or negative 3 over 2 equals b. So which, if you look, negative 1.5, that looks about right. So I have y equals 1/2 x minus 3 over 2. Okay, go ahead and do worksheet 2.